My dear beloved ones, there is an old saying, you are the salt of the earth. Salt preserves, salt heals, salt seasons. Salt may be small, but it is mighty. And so today, I invite you to see salt not as something you sprinkle on your table, but as something you sprinkle in your spirit. Put salt in your home. Put salt in your mind. Put salt in your heart and watch how God begins to move. My beloved, let us linger for a while at the very first place, the doorway. The doorway, that threshold between the inside and the outside, between your sanctuary and the street, between the world that hurries past and the life you have built within. The doorway is no ordinary place. It is the first sight you see when you come home weary from the day. It is the last place you pass through before stepping into the unknown. It is the space that greets your guests, welcomes your children, and even bids farewell to those who leave. What happens at the doorway shapes the spirit of the home. My beloved, let us linger for a while at the very first place, the doorway. The doorway, that threshold between the inside and the outside, between your sanctuary and the street, between the world that hurries past and the life you have built within. The doorway is no ordinary place. It is the first sight you see when you come home weary from the day. It is the last place you pass through before stepping into the unknown. It is the space that greets your guests, welcomes your children, and even bids farewell to those who leave. What happens at the doorway shapes the spirit of the home. Now imagine sprinkling salt at that doorway. Not just grains of seasoning, but a declaration. Salt at the door is saying, this home is sacred ground. Salt at the door is saying, no anger shall cross this threshold. No despair shall enter uninvited. Only love may walk through here. Only peace may linger here. Think for a moment about what usually enters through the doorway. Bills carried in the mail. Tired feet trudging in after a long day. Arguments that begin in the car and spill into the living room. Sometimes even envy or gossip enters when a visitor arrives with words not meant to uplift. The doorway is where the outside world tries to seep into the safety of your home. And so, beloved, it must be guarded. When you place salt at your doorway, you are reminding yourself and everyone who crosses that line, this home belongs to God. This home is a refuge. This home is a temple of love. Just as salt has preserved food for generations, so does it preserve your peace. Just as salt heals wounds when placed upon them, so does it heal the spirit when declared over your entrance. Picture a child returning from school, weighed down by the heaviness of unkind words spoken on the playground. That child crosses the salted threshold, and suddenly the air feels different. The home whispers, you are safe here. You are cherished here. You are loved beyond measure. That is the power of a doorway seasoned with intention. Or imagine a weary mother or father carrying the burdens of bills unpaid, the worries of work undone, the ache of dreams deferred. As they step across that salted entrance, the very atmosphere says, leave your troubles here. You are not defined by your worry. You are held in grace. Salt at the doorway doesn't just protect the house. It renews the soul of everyone who enters. Some people sweep their porches to keep the dust away. Some place mats that say welcome. But when you put salt at the door, you are not only sweeping away dirt, you are sweeping away despair. You are not only welcoming guests, you are welcoming angels. You are telling the forces of negativity, not here, not in my home, not on my watch. You see, salt is ordinary, yet extraordinary, a small thing with great power, and so it is with the choices we make each day. You don't need great wealth to guard your home. You don't need tall fences or iron gates. What you need is intention spoken aloud and lived within. Every time you see that salt, let it remind you. This doorway is more than wood and hinges. It is a spiritual crossing. Consider how nations build gates and soldiers stand watch. Why? Because what enters matters. In the same way, you must stand watch at the entrance of your dwelling, not with weapons, but with wisdom. Not with fear, but with faith. The salt at your doorway becomes your sentinel, a quiet guard declaring peace over all who come in and peace over all who go out. Think also of your own heart as a doorway. Every word you hear, every image you see, every thought you allow, it all enters through that doorway. Some of us let anger walk right in and sit at the table. Some of us let fear march through and sleep in the guest room. But beloved, you must salt that inner doorway too. Say to yourself, only truth may enter here. Only hope may find shelter here. Only love may reside here. In daily life, you might think, what difference can a pinch of salt make? Yet remember, salt is small, but it changes everything it touches. Too much or too little, and the entire dish is altered. That is the lesson. It doesn't take a mountain to protect your home. It takes a handful of faith. It doesn't take a storm to change your spirit. It takes a grain of intention. So the next time you walk to your doorway, pause. Don't rush past. Stand there and breathe. Ask yourself, what energy am I carrying in? What spirit am I inviting out? And when you cross that line, may it be with reverence. May it be with gratitude, may it be with strength. Put salt in your doorway, beloved. Not only the doorway of your home, but the doorway of your heart, your mind, and your soul. For when you guard the entrance, you guard everything within. And when you declare peace at the threshold, peace will reign in every room. And that, my dear friends, is when you will watch God move. My dear ones, let us step now into the corners. Ah, the corners, they seem so small, so unimportant, so hidden away that we pass them daily without notice. Yet it is in the corners that dust collects. It is in the corners that cobwebs quietly weave their nets. It is in the corners that shadows stretch and linger, long after the light has moved on. And just as it is in the home, so it is in the heart. The corners hold what we have forgotten, or what we have chosen not to see. When you place salt in the corners of your home, you are making a declaration. You are saying, even the hidden places matter, even the unseen spaces are worthy of light. Nothing shall remain unhealed, untouched, or unpurified. Salt in the corners is not just about cleaning, it is about claiming, it is about bringing order to the forgotten places, so that nothing in your life, no matter how small or hidden, escapes the blessing of God. Think about it. When was the last time you bent down to the corners of your living room or your bedroom? When was the last time you reached behind the couch or into the farthest edge of the pantry? Often we focus only on what is visible. We polish the tabletops. We sweep the center of the floor. We decorate the walls, but in the corners, dust piles quietly. Spiders spin webs silently. The small, unnoticed things gather there until one day they are too much to ignore. Isn't life just like that? We smile for the world in the bright, visible places of our lives, while the corners of our spirit remain cluttered with old hurts, silent resentments, and secret fears. We dress up the center of our days, but the corners of our soul still hold tears we never cried, words we never spoke, and forgiveness we never gave. The corners hold the history of what we chose not to confront. And so, when you put salt in those corners, you are saying, I will not leave any part of myself unattended. I will not let the shadows hide my healing. I will bring light into the places I thought too small, too dark, or too shameful to matter. For nothing is hidden from God, and what is hidden from you will still weigh you down until you choose to face it. Imagine the corner of a kitchen, where crumbs fall day after day. A little crumb here, a little crumb there, not much at first, but leave it long enough, and it becomes a feast for pests. Now think about the crumbs of bitterness, the crumbs of anger, the crumbs of neglect that fall into the corners of our relationships. At first, they seem too small to matter, but leave them unattended, and suddenly they grow into infestations that steal our peace. That is why you must salt the corners, to cleanse them, to protect them, to remind yourself that nothing is too small to matter. Or picture a child playing in a room and a ball rolls into the corner. The child runs after it, and what do they find? Dust bunnies, cobwebs, maybe even something that had been lost for months. The corner is the place of discovery, the place where forgotten things lie waiting. And so it is in your heart. When you dare to look into your corners, you may find treasures long buried, a dream you abandoned, a talent you neglected, a memory that can now bring strength instead of sorrow. By salting the corners, you are not just cleansing, you are reclaiming. Some of us are afraid of our corners. We would rather not look there. We fear what we will find. But, beloved, let me tell you, this healing does not come from avoiding. Healing comes from attending, and then when you place salt in those corners, you are putting courage in your hands. You are saying, I will face what I have ignored. I will bless what I have hidden. I will clean what I have allowed to grow dusty, and I will make it holy again. A salt in the corners reminds us that God sees everything, not in condemnation, but in compassion. He sees the tears you wept when no one was watching. He sees the words you swallowed because your voice shook too much to speak them. He sees the doubts you tucked away, the shame you pushed aside, the fears you stuffed into the hidden edges of your soul. And still he says, give them to me. Let me cleanse them. Let me make you whole. In daily life, you may see the corners as unimportant. You may think no one notices them but me. But that is precisely the point. They are not for everyone else to see, they are for you to tend. Because when the corners are tended, the whole house feels different. When the corners of your spirit are cleansed, the whole soul feels lighter. So the next time you take a broom, do not sweep only the center. Go to the corners. Take your salt with you. And as you sprinkle it there, whisper a prayer. May every shadow in me be healed. May every hidden sorrow be lifted. May every forgotten dream rise again. Let the corners teach you that nothing is too small for God's attention and nothing is too hidden for his love. For the corners matter. Beloved, they are where the unseen gathers, where the overlooked resides, and where the forgotten waits. And when you salt them, you are declaring, "There shall be no corner of my life untouched by grace." And when every corner is cleansed, the whole house shines. And that, my friends, is how you watch God move. Now let us walk into the kitchen, the heart of every home. The kitchen is not only a place where meals are prepared, it is a sacred space where life itself is nourished. It is where the scent of bread rising fills the air with promise, where pots simmer with love, and where laughter often bursts louder than the clatter of spoons and pans. The kitchen is more than a room. It is a sanctuary of abundance, a table of blessing, a place where the soul is fed just as surely as the body. When you put salt in the kitchen, you are not seasoning food, you are seasoning life. You are declaring, "May this space never run dry. May this table never be empty. May joy, gratitude, and provision overflow." Salt in the kitchen becomes a symbol of abundance of sustenance and of the miracle of enough. Think of the times you've seen a mother or grandmother prepare a meal out of what seemed like almost nothing. A little rice, a few beans, a pinch of seasoning, and yet somehow everyone eats and leaves full. That is the power of abundance. It is not about wealth or extravagance. It is about the blessing of enough. Enough food, enough strength, enough love to go around. When you salt your kitchen, you are inviting that blessing to stay and to multiply. Consider how the kitchen is often the gathering place. Guests may sit in the living room, but sooner or later, everyone finds their way to the kitchen. Because the kitchen is where the warmth is, where the aroma of comfort calls people in. The kitchen is the center of community. When you salt that space, you are declaring that whoever enters will find not just nourishment for the stomach, but nourishment for the soul. You are saying, "Let the meals prepared here feed the body, but let the love served here feed the heart." Remember also that in the kitchen, gratitude is born. For each meal placed upon the table, there is a story behind it. The farmer who grew it, the worker who harvested it, the hands that cooked it, the family that receives it. To eat is not just to consume. It is to participate in a chain of blessings that began long before the food reached your plate. When you salt your kitchen, you are recognizing that chain and thanking God for every link. There are families who know the ache of an empty pantry. There are children who have gone to bed with hunger pressing against their ribs. There are parents who have stared at shelves with little to offer but hope. And yet, even in those moments, salt in the kitchen becomes a declaration of faith. It says, "We may not have much today, but we believe in the God who multiplies loaves and fishes. We trust that tomorrow will bring provision. We believe that scarcity shall not have the final word." Think of the story of a family gathered around a simple meal. A pot of soup stretched with more water than meat, bread shared in thin slices, laughter filling the spaces where plenty could not. That kitchen, though humble, was abundant, because abundance is not always measured by how much you have, but by how much you cherish. When salt is placed in such a kitchen, it sanctifies the very spirit of gratitude. It says, "Thank you for what is here. Thank you for what is to come. Thank you for teaching us that little can become much in the hands of love." The kitchen is also where memories are made. How many of us can still recall the sound of a spoon stirring in a pot, or the smell of our mother's cooking wafting through the house, or the sight of a table set with care? Those memories linger long after the food is gone. They become nourishment for the spirit when life grows heavy. They remind us of belonging, of love, of the simple joys that sustain us. Salt in the kitchen keeps those memories alive. It whispers, "Let this space continue to be the birthplace of laughter, of stories, of moments that will be remembered long after the meal is finished." Even science tells us that food tastes better when shared. That is because food is never just food. It is communion. It is fellowship. It is a language of love. A meal alone fills the stomach, but a meal shared fills the soul. And so, when you salt your kitchen, you are also salting your relationships. You are saying, "Let every plate served here be seasoned with kindness. Let every cup poured here be overflowing with generosity. Let every bite shared here be a reminder that love is the true nourishment." Perhaps you have seen a kitchen where abundance was not in the food, but in the spirit. A grandmother with only tea and bread, but joy so rich it made every visitor feel like royalty. A mother who stretched spaghetti and sauce to feed 10 and made it feel like a feast. A father who grilled meat on a Sunday afternoon, gathering children and neighbors alike, turning a small act into a celebration. That is the beauty of the kitchen. It teaches us that abundance is a matter of perspective. So I say to you, put salt in your kitchen. Not only on your meals, but in your prayers. Sprinkle it and declare, "May this space never know lack. May this family always find enough. May gratitude rise like steam from the pot. May laughter spill like soup from the ladle. And may love be the secret ingredient in everything prepared here." For when you salt the kitchen, you do more than bless the food, you bless the life that gathers around it. You transform cooking into communion, eating into gratitude, and a room into a temple of abundance. And in doing so, you will watch God move, turning every simple meal into a feast of blessings and every kitchen into a sanctuary of grace. Step with me now into the bedroom, that quiet chamber where the heart comes to rest. The bedroom is not simply a place where the body lies down to sleep. It is the sanctuary of dreams, the refuge of intimacy, the shelter where burdens are set aside at the close of day. It is here that the soul whispers its deepest longings, where love finds its softest expression, and where the weary spirit gathers strength for tomorrow's battles. When you place salt in the bedroom, you are not seasoning walls or furniture. You are sanctifying the atmosphere. You are declaring, let this be a room of peace, of rest, of renewal, and of love. Consider how a day begins and how a day ends. Almost always, it begins and ends in the bedroom. When you rise from sleep, you step into the world carrying the residue of whatever rested with you in the night. If anxiety lay beside you, you rise heavy. If peace covered you, you rise light. When you return at day's end, it is to the bedroom that you come, bringing with you all the noise of the world. The bedroom becomes a container for what you choose to carry or to release. Salt in this space becomes a reminder that this room is not for chaos. It is for calm. It is not for bitterness. It is for healing. Think of the many stories written in bedrooms, the child tucked in with a lullaby, eyes closing as love itself becomes their blanket. The couple lying side by side, whispering dreams of a future that is theirs to build. The solitary soul who kneels at the bedside, pouring out prayers to heaven when no one else can hear. The bedroom holds secrets, hopes, and sorrows alike, and so it must be salted, not only with grains, but with intention, with prayer, with love that lingers, even in silence. There are some who enter the bedroom and find no rest. The pillow is soft, but the mind is restless. The sheets are warm, but the heart is cold. The body lies still, but the spirit wrestles. Have you known such nights when sleep will not come, when worries press like unwelcome companions? Salt in the bedroom becomes a declaration. Here I will rest. Here I will lay down every burden. Here my soul will find stillness. Just as salt heals wounds, it can heal restless nights, reminding us that peace is not found in the absence of struggle, but in the presence of God. Consider also the intimacy that dwells in the bedroom. It is the sacred space where love between partners is expressed in tenderness and vulnerability. It is not only about passion, but about connection, about the safety of being truly known and yet still cherished. Salt in the bedroom becomes a blessing over that love. It whispers, let this be a space where love is patient, where love is kind, where forgiveness is quicker than anger, and where tenderness triumphs over pride. For when love is seasoned with grace, it can withstand the storms of life. And do not forget the power of dreams. The bedroom is the cradle of dreams where the imagination is set free in the quiet of sleep. How many visions of tomorrow are first born beneath a quilt or blanket? How many ideas come not in the noise of the day but in the stillness of night? To salt your bedroom is to invite holy dreams, to declare, may my rest birth visions that uplift me. May my slumber refresh me. May I wake each morning renewed, ready to pursue the calling on my life. Think of the child who dreams of flying, the student who dreams of graduating, the parent who dreams of a better life for their children, the elder who dreams of peace after a long journey. All those dreams are nurtured in the bedroom. That is why it must be salted, so that what grows in the night is not fear, but faith, not despair, but hope, not nightmares, but visions of possibility. Daily life teaches us how much the bedroom matters. A restless night can make an entire day heavy, while a restful night can make even the hardest tasks feel possible. A word of kindness spoken before sleep can heal a day of hurt, while a word of cruelty can echo through the night like a stone thrown into silence. Salt in the bedroom means choosing kindness, choosing gentleness, choosing peace before the day is done. It means closing the night with love, so that the morning can open with joy. Imagine a couple ending their day with gratitude, holding hands as they whisper thanks for one another. Imagine a parent tucking their child in, whispering, you are loved, you are safe, you are enough. Imagine a soul alone whispering prayers into the night, trusting that angels stand guard even in the darkness. That is the kind of holiness the bedroom can hold. Salt it, bless it, claim it as sacred ground. So, beloved, when you place salt in the bedroom, let it be more than a ritual. Let it be a reminder that rest is holy, that love is sacred, that dreams are divine. A reminder that the end of each day is not defeat, but preparation for new beginnings. A reminder that even in the silence of the night, God is moving, whispering, renewing. For the bedroom is more than four walls. It is the chamber of the heart. And when you salt it, you are saying, let peace lie down here. Let love wake up here. Let dreams take root here. And in that declaration, you will find that the bedroom becomes not just a room of sleep, but a temple of renewal. And you will watch God move in your rest, in your love, and in your dreams. Now let us step into the living room, the place where life unfolds in its most visible form. The living room is not hidden like the bedroom, nor quiet like the corners. It is open, central, and alive. It is where families gather, where guests are welcomed, where stories are told, where laughter rings, and sometimes where tears are shed. The living room is the stage of togetherness, the hearth of unity. When you put salt in your living room, you are declaring, let the space be seasoned with harmony. Let the spirit of division find no seat here. Let unity be our song and love be our rhythm. Think of the power of a living room. It is where families watch movies, where children scatter toys across the floor, where friends lean close in conversation. It is the space where grandparents tell stories of the past, where parents teach lessons without even realizing, where siblings bicker but still end up laughing together. The living room holds the pulse of the household. Salt in this space is more than ritual. It is a shield for togetherness, a blessing for unity, a declaration that love will always be greater than conflict. How many of us remember evenings spent in the living room, everyone together, perhaps not even talking much, just being? A father reading the newspaper, a mother knitting or scrolling through her thoughts, children sprawled across couches, a TV flickering in the background. Simple moments, yet powerful. Those are the memories that stay, the moments that say, this is home. The living room does not need grandeur. It needs presence. It needs hearts gathered, not scattered. And yet, how often do living rooms also become battlefields? Arguments echo off the walls. Harsh words linger longer than they should. Misunderstandings find fertile soil there. The very room meant for connection becomes a place of separation. That is why salt must be placed there, to cleanse, to protect, to heal. Salt in the living room whispers, no weapon formed against our unity shall prosper. No bitterness shall root here. No anger shall be stronger than forgiveness. Consider how salt works. It seasons what would otherwise be bland. It preserves what would otherwise decay. So, too, must the living room be seasoned and preserved. Without intention, the living room can become nothing more than a place of passing by. People glued to screens, hearts distant though bodies are near. But with salt, it can become a sanctuary where conversations deepen, where laughter heals, where presence is more important than performance. Think of the child who comes home from school, tossing their backpack on the couch. The living room becomes the place where they decompress, where they share or sometimes refuse to share their day. The parent who chooses to listen instead of dismiss, to laugh instead of scold, to ask instead of assume, salts that moment. They turn the living room into holy ground, where a child feels seen, valued, safe. Think of the family gathering after a long day, the television glowing, but in between the shows and commercials, conversations slip out. A spouse shares a story from work, a child tells a silly joke, an elder reminds everyone of wisdom long learned. These are not interruptions to the show. These are the show. These are the episodes of love, written in the living room, season after season, generation after generation. Salt that room, and it will preserve those episodes for years to come. And what of visitors? The living room is often their first stop. It is where hospitality shines, where a cup of tea is served, where chairs are drawn close. Salt in the living room is also a blessing for the stranger, a way of saying, whoever enters here will feel welcome. Whoever sits here will feel valued. Whoever speaks here will be heard. For unity is not only for those who live in the house. It extends to all who enter it. Sometimes unity in the living room means silence. The quiet of a family simply existing together, each one in their own world, yet bound by the comfort of being near. Other times it is the uproar of celebration. Birthdays, holidays, milestones, unity does not look the same every day, but its essence is the same: connection, presence, belonging. Salt in the living room blesses it all. The quiet and the chaos, the tears and the laughter, the ordinary and the extraordinary. And do not think unity means the absence of conflict. No, beloved, true unity is not avoiding differences, but navigating them with love. It is disagreeing without destroying. It is arguing without abandoning. It is listening even when you cannot yet understand. A salted living room becomes a place where disagreements are softened, where pride bows to humility, where forgiveness is not postponed. It becomes a space where relationships are preserved, even in the face of imperfection. Daily life reminds us how much we need these rooms of unity. A child remembers not the specific words of every family conversation, but the warmth of sitting together. A guest remembers not the furniture, but the welcome. A spouse remembers not the decor, but the feeling of being heard. The living room holds these invisible treasures, and salt seals them in place. So sprinkle that salt and let it be more than a gesture. Let it be a promise that in this space we will choose kindness over cruelty, listening over judgment, laughter over silence, forgiveness over grudge. Let it be a reminder that the living room is not simply for living, it is for loving. When the living room is salted, the family is preserved. When unity is declared, peace takes root. And when love is made the center of the gathering, God himself takes a seat among you. That is when the living room becomes more than a room. It becomes a temple of unity, a hearth of connection, a holy place where togetherness is seasoned, preserved, and celebrated. Now let us turn inward to the most sacred dwelling place of all, the mind. The mind is the home where every thought resides, every decision is birthed, every memory is stored, and every dream takes shape. It is the quiet architect of your life, building walls of belief, windows of perspective, and doors of opportunity. When you salt the mind, you are not seasoning food or preserving rooms. You are preserving the very essence of your being. You are declaring, let my thoughts be clear, let my wisdom be sharp, let my focus be steady, and let my mind be a sanctuary for truth. The mind is a powerful garden. Whatever seed is planted there will grow, whether it be weeds of worry or blossoms of faith. Too often people allow weeds to spread unchecked. Fear, doubt, bitterness, and lies whispered by the world. But when you salt your mind, you cleanse the soil, you purify the ground, you make it fertile for hope, for vision, for strength. Just as salt preserves what is valuable, so too can your mind be preserved against corruption, confusion, and chaos. Think about your daily life. How many thoughts pass through your mind in a single day? Scientists say thousands, tens of thousands, but not every thought deserves a place to stay. Some thoughts knock gently at the doorway of the mind. You are not good enough. Some try to slip in uninvited. You will fail. Some sit down without paying rent. Your past defines you. If you let them, they will rearrange the furniture of your mind, covering your walls with shadows. That is why you must salt the mind, so that what does not belong cannot stay. Salt in the mind looks like discipline. It looks like refusing to meditate on what drains you and instead choosing what builds you. It is saying, I will not rehearse my failures. I will rehearse my faith. I will not dwell on what could go wrong. I will dwell on what could go right. I will not let fear rent space here. Only hope is welcome. Salt becomes your boundary, your safeguard, your silent yet powerful filter. Picture a student preparing for an exam. The mind is crowded with anxiety, the fear of forgetting, the weight of expectation, but then the student takes a moment to breathe, to calm, to salt their mind with affirmation. I am capable. I am prepared. I can do this. Suddenly clarity replaces confusion, calm replaces chaos. That is the power of a salted mind. Or imagine a parent balancing endless responsibilities, work deadlines, bills unpaid, children needing attention, a house demanding care. The mind left unsalted spirals. It is too much, I cannot keep going. But when salted, the same mind declares, I will take it one step at a time. I will breathe. I will not give up. The situation may not change immediately, but the strength to face it does. That is the miracle of guarding your thoughts. How many lives have been changed not by circumstances, but by the state of the mind? One person sees a mountain as an obstacle too great to climb. Another sees it as a challenge that will make them stronger. One person sees failure as the end. Another sees it as the beginning of wisdom. One person lets fear paralyze them. Another lets faith propel them. The mountain is the same. The failure is the same. The fear is the same. But the mind salted with clarity and truth changes the story. And what of memories? The mind stores them all, some beautiful, some painful. A salted mind does not erase the past, but it redeems it. It looks at mistakes and says, this is where I learned. It looks at losses and says, this is where I grew. It looks at hardships and says, this is where God carried me. Salt transforms memory from a chain into a stepping stone. Even in relationships, the state of your mind matters. Enter a conversation with suspicion and you will find conflict. Enter with clarity, humility, and openness, and you will find understanding. Salt in the mind is not just for you, it blesses everyone around you. A calm mind creates a calm home. A clear mind creates wise decisions. A hopeful mind creates an atmosphere of possibility. Think of salt in cooking, too little, and the dish tastes flat, too much, and it overwhelms. The mind, too, needs balance. Too little focus, and you wander. Too much noise, and you drown. But just enough, seasoned with truth, measured with discipline, stirred with wisdom, and your thoughts become nourishment, not poison. So, beloved, how do you know when the mind needs salting? Listen to your inner dialogue. If the voice inside you is crueler than any stranger's, it needs cleansing. If your thoughts leave you weaker instead of stronger, they need seasoning. If confusion reigns louder than clarity, it is time to sprinkle salt. Salt it with words of affirmation. Salt it with scripture, with wisdom, with meditation, with gratitude. Salt it with silence when noise overwhelms. Salt it with truth when lies scream loudest. For the mind is a battlefield, yes, but it is also a sanctuary. Guard it as you would guard your most precious treasure. Preserve it as you would preserve your finest food. Season it as you would season your most important meal, because what you feed your mind will eventually feed your life. So place salt there. Let every thought that enters ask permission. Do you build me or do you break me? Do you heal me or do you harm me? Do you bring peace or do you bring poison? If the answer is not worthy, do not let it stay. Let your mind be holy ground, clear, strong, preserved by salt. For when the mind is salted, clarity reigns, wisdom flows, vision sharpens, peace multiplies. And when your mind is whole, your life will follow. That is when you will watch God move, not in the chaos of confusion, but in the clarity of a salted, sanctified mind. Now let us walk into the heart, that most tender chamber of all. The heart is where love resides, where wounds hide, where memories live, where forgiveness either flows or becomes dammed up. The heart is both fragile and fierce, soft enough to break and strong enough to carry generations of joy and pain. When you put salt in the heart, you are saying, let this heart be preserved by love. Let this heart be seasoned with mercy. Let this heart be healed by forgiveness. Think for a moment of what the heart carries in daily life. It carries the weight of harsh words spoken years ago, still echoing. It carries the sting of betrayals, the disappointment of broken promises, the ache of losses too deep to name. But it also carries the warmth of laughter, the sweetness of kindness, the memory of being held, the spark of hope that refuses to die. The heart is a vessel of contradictions, joy and sorrow, love and grief, peace and turmoil, all beating together in rhythm. Yet what happens when unforgiveness lodges in the heart? It is like a wound left untreated. At first it hurts sharp, then it dulls, then it festers. Over time, bitterness grows like an infection, spreading into thoughts, words, and actions. Have you seen a person hardened by unforgiveness? Their smile rarely reaches their eyes. Their voice often carries an edge of anger. Their steps are heavy, not because of age, but because of weight carried within. Beloved, that is what happens when the heart is left unsalted. Salt heals, salt cleanses, salt preserves. To put salt in the heart is to let forgiveness flow, not because others deserve it, but because your heart does. Forgiveness is not always for the one who wronged you. Forgiveness is for you. It is the medicine that heals your spirit, the release that sets you free from chains you didn't even realize you were dragging. When you forgive, you are sprinkling salt over the wound, stinging at first, but healing in time. Think of a daily example, a friend who forgot to call, a co-worker who dismissed your effort, a loved one who spoke carelessly. Small things, yet they lodge in the heart. You carry them through the day, then into the night, then into the next day. Soon, your heart feels crowded with grudges too small to justify and yet too sharp to ignore. But when you salt the heart with forgiveness, you release them. You say, this will not take my peace. This will not weigh me down. I forgive, and I am free. Now imagine the deeper wounds of betrayal by someone you trusted. A parent who was absent, a partner who walked away, a friend who turned cold. These wounds cut deep, leaving scars that ache even years later. Forgiveness here feels impossible. How can you release what hurt you so much? And yet, beloved, forgiveness does not mean forgetting, nor does it mean excusing. Forgiveness means choosing not to let the pain control your future. It is sprinkling salt on the deepest wounds and trusting that time and grace will heal. Look at nature for wisdom. A tree struck by lightning carries the scar on its bark, yet it still grows, still blooms, still shelters birds. The scar remains, but the life continues. So it is with the salted heart. Scars may remain, but they no longer stop the flow of love. They simply tell the story of survival, of healing, of resilience. Salt in the heart is also mercy. It is the ability to look at others and see not only what they did wrong, but also what they, too, carry inside. Sometimes those who hurt us are themselves wounded. Sometimes they act from their own bitterness, their own fears, their own emptiness. To salt the heart is to say, I will not let your wound become my wound. I will not let your bitterness become my bitterness. I choose mercy because mercy has been shown to me. Think of a parent and child. The child makes mistakes, sometimes small, sometimes great, but a parent salted with love chooses forgiveness again and again, not because the child is perfect, but because the love is stronger than the hurt. That is the model of the salted heart. It is patient. It is kind. It preserves relationship over pride. Forgiveness in the heart also preserves joy. Without forgiveness, joy is smothered under layers of resentment. With forgiveness, joy rises again like sunlight after a storm. Have you ever noticed how light someone seems after finally letting go of anger? Their face softens, their voice brightens, their whole presence feels lighter. That is what happens when the heart is salted with forgiveness. In daily life, you may find many reasons to be angry, many excuses to hold grudges. But every time you forgive, you are choosing freedom over chains, peace over poison, life over death. Salt in the heart means choosing love again and again, even when it is hard, even when it costs you pride, even when the world says you have every right to remain bitter. So I say to you, Put salt in your heart. Sprinkle it over your past. Sprinkle over your pain. Sprinkle it over every relationship, every memory, every scar. Let forgiveness flow. Let mercy season your words. Let grace preserve your joy. For the salted heart does not rot with bitterness. It beats strong with love. It does not wither with resentment. It thrives with compassion. It does not cling to pain. It releases it, and in releasing, it heals. And when your heart is salted, you will find that love flows freely again, that peace takes root, that joy blossoms. You will find that no bitterness can spoil you, no hatred can harden you, no one can destroy you. And that, beloved, is when you will watch God move, not only in your circumstances, but in the deepest chambers of your heart. Now we arrive at the doorway of the soul, the place of faith. The soul is the eternal breath inside you, the whisper of God's Spirit, the flame that never truly dies. Faith is the salt of the soul. It is what preserves you when nothing else makes sense. It is what seasons your journey when the road grows long and lonely. To put salt in your faith is to say, though storms rage, though doubts come, though the night stretches longer than I thought I could bear, I will not lose hope. I will hold on to the unseen. I will believe in the promise. I will trust the one who has never failed me. A life, beloved, will always test your faith. There will be days when the bills outweigh the income, when the doctor's report carries more fear than comfort, when the people you trusted walk away, when doors slam in your face again and again. In those moments, it is easy to let faith weaken, to let doubt become louder than belief. But when you salt your faith, you are choosing to preserve it against decay. You are telling your soul, I may bend, but I will not break. I may cry, but I will not quit. I may not see the way, but I will still trust the one who makes the way. Think of a candle in a dark room. Alone, the darkness seems endless, but when the candle is lit, even the smallest flame changes the entire space. Faith is that flame. It does not always erase the darkness, but it gives you light enough to take the next step. Salted faith keeps the flame burning even when the winds blow hard against it. Consider the farmer who plants seeds. He buries them in the soil unseen, with no guarantee of rain, with no promise of sun. Yet he believes that in due season something will sprout. That is faith. The seed looks like death at first, it disappears into the ground. But the farmer salts his faith with patience, with trust, with labor. And when the harvest comes, his faith is rewarded. So too in your life, there will be seasons when your prayers feel buried, when your dreams seem hidden. But salted faith believes that what looks dead can rise again. Daily life is filled with moments where faith is tested. A single mother wakes at dawn, not knowing how she will stretch the little she has to feed her children. Yet she salts her faith, whispering, we will make it through today. A young man struggles with rejection after rejection, but salts his faith, declaring, my time will come. An elder, weary from years of life's trials, salts her faith with gratitude, saying, I am still here, and that is reason enough to praise. Faith unsalted can grow stale. It can become ritual, words without power, prayers without expectation. But salted faith is alive, it breathes, it hopes, it refuses to quit. It is not naive, it does not ignore pain. Instead, it looks pain in the face and says, you will not have the last word. It looks at setbacks and says, this is a setup for something greater. It looks at storms and says, peace will come. Salt keeps faith fresh, unspoiled, resilient. Imagine a person climbing a mountain. The higher they go, the thinner the air, the more tired the body, the more tempting it is to turn back. But faith is what pushes the climber to keep going step by step. Salted faith is what whispers, the view is worth it. And when the summit is reached, the struggle is transformed into strength, the pain into purpose, the climb into testimony. Salt in your faith also keeps you connected to others. When your faith is alive, it inspires those around you. Your courage lifts them. Your endurance strengthens them. Your trust in God becomes a light they can follow. Have you ever met someone whose faith was so strong it shifted the atmosphere? They walk into a room and carry peace with them. They speak and hope rises. That is the fragrance of salted faith. It spreads, it uplifts, it multiplies. And sometimes salted faith is quiet. It is not always shouting or leaping. Sometimes it is simply standing. Standing when others fall. Standing when the winds howl. Standing when the world says you should collapse. Quiet faith that says, I am still here and God is still good. That too is salted faith. In relationships, salted faith holds families together. It keeps love strong in marriages, hope alive in children, strength flowing in friendships. In communities, salted faith binds people through storms, reminding them that together they can endure what alone they could not. In the soul, salted faith keeps despair from rotting away. The spirit, salted faith also brings perspective. It reminds you that what you see is not all there is. The storm is not the story, the rainbow is. The cross is not the ending. The resurrection is. The valley is not your grave, it is your classroom. Salt in your faith says, This moment is part of a bigger picture. I may not see it yet, but I believe it exists. So, beloved, salt your faith daily. Pray with expectation, not just repetition. Speak life when your mind tempts you with doubt. Sing even when your voice shakes. Give thanks even when the basket feels empty. Hold on when everything in you wants to let go. Because salted faith is not just belief. It is belief preserved, belief seasoned, belief alive. And when your faith is salted, you will see miracles in places you least expect. Doors will open where there were none. Strength will rise when you thought you had none. Peace will settle where fear once lived. And joy will bloom even in the desert. For faith, preserved by salt, is unshakable. It survives storms, it thrives in droughts, it multiplies in trials. And when you walk in salted faith, you are not just surviving, you are testifying, you are declaring to the world, I believe and I will keep believing. And in that declaration, in that perseverance, you will watch God move through you, around you, and within you.